So far we have seen two cases of these columns, that is when the column was loaded centrally, we saw how it fails only under crushing. Then in case of eccentrically loaded masonry columns, we saw how the stresses get developed at different location, and then we saw in detail how to design this kind of columns. Now let us finally come to the third case under this topic, columns and struts, that is when elastic long columns when they fail under buckling. Let us see how to analyze this kind of column when they are subjected to or when they fail under this buckling load. Okay, to understand this, first let us try to understand what is the stability of the structure. Before actually studying how the column fails under buckling, let us first try to understand what is stability of the structure. Look at this column. Now this column is nicely subjected to the centric load P, and then here even this is centric, these two supports are hinge joints. This is hinge joint at end A and at end B. The load is centric, and then if this beam, if this column is properly designed, the stresses developed here in this case will be sigma will be P by A, and the deflections dl will be PL by AE in this column. And this is a story if the if this column is properly designed, and then this stress developed sigma is less than the sigma allowable. The allowable is the stress allowable in this material, and this deformation dl is also within the permissible limits. Then one may very confidently conclude that this beam is very properly designed, because it will be failing, it will not fail under crushing, because whatever stresses are developed, they are less than the sigma allowable or the allowable stresses in this material. This deformation is also within the permissible limit, and this story is true if the load is centric. But what if this load is slightly disturbed from the center? If there is some eccentricity, this column is very long. In that case, what may happen is, even before this stresses sigma reaches to its allowable stress or the crushing limit, it may bend. It may bend like this. The practical example is shown here. Look at this. When the load is applied in this column, it has slightly bent, right? You can see the bending of this column. So this may what happen actually. Now under this case, we need to see whether, and this happens because the design is not stable. This column is not stable under the applied load, and then this can be studied with the proper with modeling this column by two rigid members AC and BC with a spring of the constant or of the stiffness K. Now what we have done, we have taken a simplified model of this actual column here by taking two rigid members AC and BC, which are joined with a pin with a spring which has a constant K, and the free body diagram of this column has been shown here. Now if suppose say the load P and the reaction force P dash and these two rigid members AC and BC, everything is in properly aligned, everything is at the center of this system, everything is properly aligned, then what will happen is we can say that this structure is stable. But when this force is applied on these two rigid members with this spring of constant K at the point C, and then along with this load, if we slightly disturb this system by in this direction, if we slightly disturb this system in this direction, then one will observe that this member AC and member BC will deflect from this equilibrium position AB, from this initial position AB, by the small angle delta theta this side and delta theta this side. So these two rigid members AC and BC will deflect by an angle of delta theta. So that this total angle which this spring will form is 2 times delta theta. And here at this stage, if this system manages to come back to its original position AB because of the stiffness of this spring, then one may say that this system is stable. But at this stage, if it further starts moving away from this equilibrium position, it starts moving away from this equilibrium position at this stage, then one may conclude that this system is unstable. So the system is called as stable if at this stage it regains its initial position, and it will be called as unstable if it moves away further away from this equilibrium position. And in order to analyze this, let us again further draw the free body diagram of this member AC. Now at point A, it is subjected to load P, and at C there will be definitely a reaction force P dash in upward direction. So because of this force P and P dash, there will be a couple of magnitude which will have a moment of magnitude what? It will be P multiplied by this distance, right? P multiplied by this distance. And how much will be this distance? This distance will be nothing but this is L by 2. This distance from this equilibrium position from here to here, it will be L by 2 sine of delta theta, right? So this will be L by 2 multiplied by sine of delta theta. And then there will be one more moment M, which will be formed by this spring because of the stiffness of the spring, and that moment, this moment M of this spring, can be given in terms of its stiffness K and this angle which it will subtend, that is 2 delta theta, as K times 2 delta theta. So this is the spring moment which will counteract this moment which is generated because of this couple P and because of the couple formed by these two loads P and P dash. So this is the moment formed because of the couple which gets generated because of this forces P and P dash, and this M is the moment which will act opposite to this moment P multiplied by L by 2 sine delta theta, which is given by this magnitude. Now when this will be stable, when this system will be stable, if this M, that is the moment generated by this spring, if it is greater than the moment generated by this forces P dash, P and P dash. If this M, that is the moment generated by this spring, if it is greater than the moment generated by this forces P dash, in that case what will happen, since this moment is more than this moment, it will come back to its original position. So this is a stable case. But if this M becomes less than the moment generated because of this forces P and P dash, then definitely what will happen is this system will start moving further away from this equilibrium position, and therefore this case will be called as unstable case. So this is the stable case, this is the unstable case. But in between these two cases, stable and unstable cases, there will be one more very important case which will be called as in between this. There will be one more case which will be called as a critical case, So under critical case, what will happen is the moment generated by spring will be equal to the moment generated by these forces P and P dash. Alright, so in this case the moment generated by this spring is given as K times 2 delta theta, and the moment generated by this two forces P and P dash, we know it is given by this force, this term, wherein I will call now this P as PCR, P critical, multiplied by L by 2 multiplied by sine of delta theta. Now if I further simplify this, since we are dealing all this when the deformations or these displacements are very small, therefore we know that the sine of very small angle, it is approximately equal to that same small angle. Therefore I can again rewrite this PCR multiplied by L by 2 multiplied by, in place of sine delta theta, I can just write it as delta theta. This will be equal to K 2 times delta theta. So from here I can straight away cancel this delta theta and finally I can write this critical load expression PCR as 4 times this K stiffness divided by L. So this is the critical load of this system. So what what information we get from this expression critical load is that if this applied load P, if this applied load P is less than this P critical, that is, if this applied load P is less than this P critical, then the system will be called as again stable. Since this applied load P is, if it is less than this critical load PCR, which we have got from this case, right, from critical case. Yes, so therefore if the applied load P is less than this load, critical load PCR, which is found from the stiffness of the spring and the length of the member, then we say that the system is stable. If the applied load P is less than this PCR, the system is stable. But this, the moment this applied load goes slightly beyond this critical load PCR, then the system will be definitely unstable. So if this load applied is more than the load PCR, then the system will be unstable, because this moment will not be able to balance the moment generated by this load, and therefore the system will just continuously move this side away from the equilibrium, and therefore the system will be called as unstable. The same can be understood by this diagram. Now this is a stable case. Why this is called a stable case? Because if I disturb this roller in this direction, then ultimately what will happen is, because of the nature of this, it will come back to its initial position, right? If I just disturb it in this direction, or if I disturb it in this direction, finally it will land to its original position or to its equilibrium position. Therefore this state is called as the stable state. Now this is a highly unstable state. Even if I just disturb it from its equilibrium position, it will never come back to its original position or to its equilibrium position. It will just move away from the equilibrium position even with a slight disturbance. So this is a highly unstable case, and this can be called as a critical case. This can be understood as a critical case because this is just in between the unstable state and the stable state. So finally we have understood that the stability of the structure depends upon this formula. But now again, if you see here carefully, we have derived this formula, critical load formula, for an idealized system, wherein the actual system we had simplified it by considering one spring here of the constant K, of the spring stiffness K. So we had here a ready-made spring stiffness, right? In this case we had ready-made spring stiffness K. But in actual column we will not have the ready-made stiffness. Yes, so for this, for the actual column, we cannot directly find the critical load by this expression. We will have to find it, we will have to find the critical load in order to understand the stability of the column by using a theory called as Euler's theory. So for actual columns, we will have to find the critical load of different columns of with different boundary conditions by using Euler's theory. Now this explanation is same to what I have given you just now. Steel is very commonly used elastic material in case of columns and studs, and they are usually slender. The steels are usually very slender, and because of that they tend to fail because of unavoidable eccentricity and large displacement. Because of this unavoidable eccentricity, large displacements may take place, and they will fail under, definitely they will, in this case they will definitely fail under buckling. And this buckling load is much smaller than the crushing load. All right, so even much before the crushing load it will fail under the buckling. And because of this, a scientist, a Swiss mathematician named Leonhard Euler, he developed the theory, he developed the theoretical expression for the buckling load, not only for one type of column, but for the 4 different types of columns. I mean, the column is same, but the boundary conditions are different. First, this is the case wherein both the ends are hinged. So this is basically this case B, wherein this end is also hinged, this case is also hinged. So this is this case. Then the one end fixed and the other end free. So this is basically this case A, wherein this end is fixed, this end is fixed, whereas this end is totally free. Then both the ends are fixed. So both the ends are fixed is here. So this is the D case D, wherein both this end is also fixed, this end is also fixed, and then finally one end is fixed and the other end is hinged. So this case, wherein this end is, see if you can observe, this end is hinged, whereas this end is fixed. So for these four different cases, he developed the expression of critical load. And let me remind you, there is no idealization as such here. Nowhere this actual columns will be replaced by any spring of stiffness constant K, the way we had seen just now. So for the actual columns, this critical loads will be developed by using Euler's theory. And for that, the assumptions are as follows. These are the assumptions under which the critical load expressions will be developed for these four different cases. The assumptions are the material is of the column is homogeneous, isotropic and elastic. We all know what this means. Homogeneous means the properties will remain same throughout the entire body. Isotropic is property is same in all direction. It is elastic. The section of the column is initially straight and the load is axial. All right, this means that initially it will be a very straight column, and the load will be always axial. The column fails by the buckling alone. Now this is very important. Whatever theory, I mean whatever expression will be developing, the critical load expression, that expression for this Euler's theory, it will take care of buckling alone. So this critical load expression for these different columns are developed keeping in mind it will fail only under buckling. So this will turn out to be even the limitations of this theory, which we'll look at it later on. So just remember that under assumption we have assumed that the column fails by buckling alone, and the self weight of the column is neglected. Under this theory. So under this assumption, we will develop the critical load expression PCR for these four different cases. All right. We saw that for an idealized system or for a simplified system, when it is replaced with the spring of constant K, the PCR expression was turned out to be this. But for this actual cases now, for all of these actual cases, we will try to derive the expression for PCR using Euler's theory.